Welcome, Aries, to your September horoscope. I'm Cosmic Girl. Trust you're doing well, and thank you for joining me here. So, astrologically speaking, the month of September's pretty good. We got two eclipses, clearing the decks, bringing in new experiences and chucking out old ones. We have the equinox season beginning, and your chart ruler Mars this month is moving into a different zodiac sign, a different natal house, and we're going to get into all the astrological meat and bones of what all the astrology for the month of September 2025 is indicating for you as an Aries rising. Let's jump to it. Okay, let's talk about your chart ruler Mars opening up the horoscope for you for September. So, your chart ruler Mars ingressed into Libra, the relationship sign, social Libra, intellectual Libra, loves a party, likes to people please, likes to put on a show. This is Libra, and your chart ruler Mars ingressed into Libra on the 25th of August, only last month, and will be in Libra, your natal seventh house, until the 22nd of September. So, opening up the month until the 22nd, there's an observation going on for the Aries rising sign, sort of looking at other people and how their relationships are going. Mars in Libra, you'll be observing really quite easily how people please or are trying to create harmony and balance in their lives. So you might be hearing and observing a lot of discontent with Mars transiting in Libra because it's those one-on-one connections that you are integrated with that are going to be having a difficult time playing nice. So I wouldn't be too surprised if the Aries risings are getting lots of phone calls, lots of communication, and asking for Mars's Aries rising signs advice. How do I deal with this conflict? How do I deal with this social snafu? How do I deal with all this injustice and unfairness going on in my life? So you might be really seeked out by others for advice on relationships and delegation in anything to do with law, fairness, justice, equality, and balance with this transit. As an Aries rising sign, being your chart ruler Mars in Libra, your natal seventh house, until the 22nd of the month, this is a very good opportunity for the Aries risings to also use their throat chakra and speak up. Draw lines in the sand with concrete kind of transit as well. If you are feeling that you are really giving it your all and getting nothing in return, then this can be a very good transit for you to call it a day and have the boundaries up so you don't lose yourself in relationships and people pleasing. Mars in Libra is also a great transit for the Aries rising signs until the 22nd of September to rally in ambassadors and advocates to help the Aries risings get over a line, start things regarding anything on self improvement, their health, their body, and their appearance. Really good transit, an important one because Mars in the natal seventh house is an angular part of your natal chart. So it's time to be the person to be more objective when others seek out advice from you. Also, a good transit for you to team up and buddy up with people that are intellectually inspiring and that can really get you going, especially when it comes to anything aesthetic to do with the law and creating more harmony in your own world. Really, really quite interesting transit with your chart ruler Mars in Libra, your natal seventh house until the 22nd of September. Then there's a shift, and that's going to be a really big positive one for you as an Aries rising sign. But we'll get to that later in the video. Now, let's talk about the planets in transits. Okay, on the 1st of September, Saturn retrogrades back into Pisces, into your natal 12th house. He'll go direct on November 27 at 25 degrees, and then will ingress back into your first house of Aries on February 14, 2026 until April 12, 2028. So, what does this all mean for the Aries rising signs? Well, for 5 months, you've got Saturn taking the pressure off the self. Saturn really lays it on thick in the first house of body, identity, health, and the self. So for 5 months, Aries rising has a bit of breathing space to recalibrate, readjust, fine tune anything that is of a distraction or things that are just dragging the chain. So it's a really good opportunity for the Aries rising signs to muscle up and sort of close things down that have been on repeat for a little too long. So it's a really nice transit for Aries rising signs with Saturn for 5 months off their angular part of the natal chart, the first house of self. So you may really be in a position, Aries rising signs, to muscle up, get determined, get really certain about new starts, what you want to integrate into reality and build that's got some structure and legacy and gumption behind it. Saturn retrograding for 5 months will certainly give the Aries rising signs time to prepare for really big strides when he ingresses back into your first house on February 14, where it's all going to be on regarding building the new you with confidence and savvy. Really good transit with Saturn now off your angular part of your natal chart, the first house, for 5 months. From the 1st to the 30th, a whole month, we have Uranus in Gemini, trining Pluto retrograde in Aquarius. We have Pluto sextiling Neptune and Uranus sextiling Neptune. Just a quick note, on the 6th of September, Uranus goes into a retrograde. So Uranus, Pluto, and Neptune are all retrograde for the whole month of September, and they're trining and sextiling one another. So these are outer generational planets, but they're important, even though they're very slow. They take a very long time to go through each zodiac sign. They do pack a punch behind the scenes. They're like the key protagonists playing out very long stories. So for the month of September, what Aries rising signs may be able to cash in on of their own free will is taking bits and pieces of intel information that can improve their own future. So this is looking into apps, technology, getting into research about what you want to begin and what it's going to take to keep up in the race kind of month. So, really good for research and communicating and knocking shoulders with people, places, and faces that are future thinkers and can give you a leg up and some insight on how to be in the race, but also how you can improve yourself in being ahead of the game. So, really nice month for that. But again, please note Uranus on the 6th goes into a retrograde as well. So, I like this astrologically for Aries rising sign with these outer generational planets really giving Aries rising intel on where the future is heading and how they can be part of it and integrate in it with flow, and Saturn now taking the excessive pressure off the self for 5 months. It's sort of like the Aries rising signs astrology is indicating you're preparing a new slate. And when Saturn ingresses back into the natal first house come February next year with Neptune direct in your first house, walking through Aries on February 20 next year, it's like Aries rising signs are armored and prepared to begin something of substance that's futuristic, it's self improvement, and you won't be feeling like you're lost in the weeds. So it's a really good opportunity, excuse me, for the month of September moving forward before Saturn and Neptune march into your first house on February 20 next year, to gather and rally support and intel that really can improve the self in regarding new beginnings, your health, your body, and your identity. So I think it's a really good astrology for the Aries rising signs in particular. On the 2nd of September, we have Mercury ingressing into Virgo in your natal sixth house. You also have the Sun in your natal sixth house until the 22nd of September. So, what does this astrologically mean for the Aries? Well, from the 2nd to the 18th of the month, Mercury will be well positioned in Virgo, but it's only a very quick transit. So, astrologically speaking, I think Aries rising signs are going to be flooded and inundated with intel, paperwork, communication, a lot of travel, a lot of talk about money. And this can be focusing in on topics and subjects such as injuries, accidents, work, health, and services. So, Aries rising signs, you're on notice from the 2nd of September to the 18th to be prepared for a sweeping amount of communication. So there will be a lot of phone calls, emails, a lot of communication, travel, and financial aspects highlighted from the 2nd to the 18th of the month. Deep breaths, make sure your phone's charged, make sure you read the fine print, make sure you respond to all communication because it'll be really important because Mercury is in domicile and exaltation in Virgo. So anything that's coming at you will have a hint of significance. So no overlooking details with this transit and anything to do with communication, money, travel, and your health. Aries rising signs, if you wake up in the morning on the 3rd of September feeling like, oh, I can sense something's not right, you may not be off the ball here. So, the first thing I advise Aries rising to do on the 3rd of September, straight out of the gate in the morning when you wake up, is have a beautiful cup of herbal tea, have something nice to eat so you feel very grounded and centered. Because astrologically, with the aspects of the day, it's just annoying, and you're going to need the patience of Hades kind of astrological day on the 3rd. Jupiter in Cancer is squaring your chart ruler Mars, and Mercury is squaring Uranus. So, astrologically, I'm giving Aries rising the heads up for the 3rd of September. Be prepared for the unimaginable to occur on the 3rd. This can be tantrums, difficulties with communication, your car breaks down, the goalposts suddenly move, and your day that you had planned oh so well seems to be on the back burner. So, flexing and adjusting on the dime is the key for the day on the 3rd of September when everything and maybe everyone around you is all up in flames. Deep breaths kind of day on the 3rd. Moving on, 4 days later, we have on the 7th, the first eclipse of September. And it's a full moon lunar eclipse in Pisces in your natal 12th house where Saturn just ingressed back into. Okay, full moons are the peak points of the lunar cycle where we see results. And eclipses are more potent, they're more powerful results. And it's in the natal 12th house. So this is interesting for the Aries rising signs because the natal 12th house, where Saturn just ingressed back into, where Pisces is about emotions and sensitivity. It's a psychic zodiac sign. Pisces is very loving and compassionate and nurturing and self-sacrificing. That's Pisces. And it's the natal 12th house of loss and isolation and solitude, institutions, and where we lose ourselves. That's the natal 12th house, whether we lose ourselves of our own free will or we feel a little bit overwhelmed by circumstances that are out of our control. The 12th house can be quite complex, but the 12th house of Pisces, where this full moon lunar eclipse is happening for you as an Aries rising sign, is a closing down of a very long chapter. And when you have a closing down of a very long chapter where it's in the natal 12th house of feeling out of control and where we lose ourselves and feel isolated and sort of stuck, then this is a really beneficial full moon lunar eclipse for you as an Aries rising sign because it's the closing down, it's the ending of those topics and subjects that may have been emotionally overwhelming or hard to release. And when you have a potent lunar eclipse where a chapter is finally releasing you from an emotional, uncontrollable bind, then you have a breath of fresh air kind of full moon lunar eclipse happening where it's very clear on what keeps Aries rising signs small, in isolation and in solitude and in some sort of emotional institution. So, this is a graduation point that is extremely potent and quite significant for the Aries rising signs. So, what I'm getting astrologically for the Aries rising signs with this full moon lunar eclipse on the 7th is a de-shackling, a shedding of a weight, potentially an emotional institutional one that has had a hold over you. That's maybe something that you've been experiencing for some time now gets basically shown the door. And when you get a moment like this on the 7th of September to uh, detox, purge, and release yourself from something, it's a it's an exhaling moment that is quite emotionally cathartic. So I expect astrologically for the Aries rising signs on the 7th of September, extremely good news that releases you from a bind. Good luck, Aries rising signs on the 7th. Moving on to the 12th of September, we have a particularly good day. We've got the Sun and Mercury sextiling Jupiter. Yeah, I would expect that there's a bit of an upgrade or a soothing tonic or balm that comes in that helps the family unit, your home life or domestic life on the 12th, that improves your work, your health, or services. So I expect astrologically the 12th of September to be particularly good for Aries rising signs to feel settled, grounded, and that could be because of some important intel that reaches you that gives you an emotional settling on the 12th. So I like that day astrologically for you, with the Sun and Mercury agreeing with Jupiter. And on the 13th, we have Mercury conjunct the Sun. And this is what we call a cazimi. So Mercury is in the heart of the Sun. So Mercury is being granted, for better words, a lot of energy and support and optimism from the sun on the 13th. So, this could be the green light, if you will, Aries rising signs to move forward confidently regarding anything to do with communication, travel, or anything of a financial nature connected to work, health, services, or injuries and accidents. Looks like a big day of announcement is what I'm getting on the 13th for you. So be on the lookout for optimistic news that really does lift the spirits on the 13th of September. So these are really good days, the 12th and the 13th of September, astrologically speaking. I think something's getting smoothed over that improves your sense of emotional stability with your family, your work and home life and routine. Something's gelling here that's quite beneficial for you, Aries rising signs. On the 14th of September, planet Venus, the planet of love, unity, pleasure, wants to bring you something, Aries rising, because she's sextiling your chart ruler in Libra, her sign of rulership. So on the 14th, Venus wants to bring Aries rising signs some fun, some flair, some excitement. So you might be getting an invitation, a big announcement on the 14th that really does make you feel very warm and fuzzy. So expect really good news on the 14th of September when Venus brings you something of benefit that really does feel quite balanced and in flow. On the 17th, we have Mercury opposing Saturn. You might be at your wits' end, Aries rising sign, regarding waiting for everyone else to catch up to you and your plans. So it can be a day, excuse me, where you know where you're heading, you know what you're doing, but others might be dragging the chain. Alas, you have to do what's good for you. So on the 17th, you might have to say goodbye or detach from some sort of emotional anchor that really is preventing you from moving forward. So it could be a big decision day on the 17th for the Aries rising signs. On the 18th, the next day, Mercury ingresses into Libra. So now Mercury is in your natal seventh house where your chart ruler Mars is, at least until the 22nd. So Mercury is now in your natal seventh house of Libra until October 6th. So when Mercury does ingress into your natal seventh house of relationships, other people, your one on one connections, he immediately opposes Neptune retrograde in Aries in your natal first house. So this day on the 18th, when Mercury ingresses into Libra and immediately opposes Neptune retrograde in your first house of you, this can feel like pressure to talk up, speak up kind of day. You may be called to respond. Communication is needed on the 18th, and that can be a little bit of a astrological day of do I have to explain myself kind of feeling is what I'm getting with that alignment when Mercury ingresses into your relationships houses and opposes Neptune retrograde. Really interesting. You might be really feeling the heat to make a decision or communicate. Someone or something needs your attention, and you might be playing a bit of an elusive game here because you've got well laid plans and you sort of don't want to explain yourself or basically dish out too much information about what you're doing, is what I'm getting on the 18th. So, Mercury in a Libra in your natal seventh house from the 18th to October 6th. What can you expect? Well, it is your relationships house. It's all about marriage, other people, partnerships, your one on ones. And Mercury in Libra is seeking out intel, social connections. So I expect that Mercury in Libra transit for the Aries rising signs is going to be lively. This is a lot of invitations, a lot of banter, a lot of travel connected to other people. You might be on the move more and very busy talking and communicating with this transit. So your social life is going to get busy and there's going to be a lot of intel, a lot of back and forward going on here, a lot of weighing up the pros and cons of collabs is what I'm getting with Mercury transiting in Libra from the 18th till October 6th. On the 19th, we've got a lot going on astrologically on the 19th. We've got Venus ingressing into Virgo until October 13. And we also have Mercury in Libra trining Uranus retrograde in Gemini and trining Pluto retrograde in Aquarius. So let's talk about these aspects and ingresses individually. So we'll talk about Venus's transit in your natal sixth house first. So when Venus is in her sign of fall, Venus is feeling a little bit nervous, a little bit tentative regarding work, health, and services, and anything to do with accidents or injuries. And if we think about that natal sixth house where this transit will be, where Venus is feeling a little bit, I'm not so confident, in your natal sixth house on the 19th to October 13th, then I think this can be a lot of overthinking that's not necessary. And the reason for that is because Venus may be in fall in Virgo in your natal sixth house, but Mercury, the ruler of Virgo, is in Libra, which is Venus's sign of rulership in the seventh house. So if it feels like it's just an uphill push to do things regarding work health services and anything to do with accidents or injuries, I think there's going to be some help from Mercury coming. The help's coming, excuse me, from Mercury in Libra in Venus' sign of rulership in the seventh. So I think there's support around you regarding relationships, other people, one on one connections that can help you over a line in potentially a tricky transit from the 19th to October 13 regarding anything that you have to deal with on the daily that can feel a little bit uncomfortable, or you may feel a little bit stretched. But I think that Mercury in Venus' sign of rulership in Libra is helping Venus out quite a lot with this transit, even though Venus is in fall in Virgo. So I hope that makes sense. So all in all, from the 19th to October 13, anything that you have to do that feels like a bit of a push will be helped by others and relationships around you to get over a line. Also on the 19th, we have Mercury trining Uranus and Pluto retrograde. And yeah, this is again doubles down on there's support coming from your environment, the community. Uh, there's information at hand and people to rally and support you on the 19th if you're feeling a little bit tentative or a bit sensitive or nervous about anything to do with work health services or anything laborious that you have to endure. So the 19th, all in all, looks pretty supportive for you if you're feeling that you are um, maybe a little bit out of your depth. There's more networks around you than you may anticipate. So all in all, the 19th looks really good for a go ahead regarding a collaboration, anything to do with travel, education, or other people really are coming in to be a very helpful lending hand to you on the 19th. On the 20th, we have Uranus square Venus and the Sun opposed Saturn. This is all about out with the fear and go forward boldly kind of astrology for you. So put the nerves behind closed doors where they belong and go forward confidently on the 20th when you are asked to take on an offer. This is not a day to dilly dally around or question, because Venus being in Virgo in fall is in Mercury's sign of rulership and Mercury is in Libra. Venus' sign of rulership and Mercury is trining this Uranus. So, what I'm getting astrologically for the Aries rising signs is it might feel a little overwhelming to step forward into something new, but it's beneficial if you can just leave the nerves behind kind of day on the 20th. So, boldly step forward is what I'm getting on the 20th in regards to any plans that you want to make a reality. And here's the new reality on the 21st. We have our second eclipse of the month, and it is a new moon partial solar eclipse in Virgo in your natal sixth house. So I think Aries rising signs, you have made a choice and you're ready to stick with it. Kind of new moon solar eclipse in the sixth house of work, health services, accidents, and labor. You are more than prepared to put in the hard yards and take leadership and ownership of your daily life. This looks like a brand new slate for the Aries rising signs that provides freedom to engage with things of a practical manner regarding anything to do with services, learning, teaching, balancing out your life, balancing out schedule, balancing out routine. It looks like Aries rising signs on the 21st is more than ready to start something fresh and new that improves the self. So the solar eclipse on the 21st is a potent new beginning. It's a new moon, but it's an eclipse. So it has more gravitas. It's more bold. And with a solar eclipse, this is taking leadership of your daily life, work, health, services, anything that you do laboriously is going to be welcomed with open arms. So you're ready to roll up your sleeves and get a job done kind of solar eclipse from the 21st of September moving forward. This is a serious upgrade and a well deserved and long time coming upgrade for the Aries rising signs that improves your mind, body, spirit, and your soul. Beautiful new moon partial solar eclipse in Virgo for the Aries rising signs. It's go time and you're ready to get going. Moving on to the 22nd, we now have the Sun leave Virgo and ingress into Libra, your natal seventh house for 4 weeks. So, this is your relationships house, your one on ones, people that you partner up with. So, the Sun is all about optimism, life. Let's do this. Let's take each other's hand. Let's go forward. And that's great in your relationships house when like everyone's like, yes, let's do this. But the sun is in fall for 4 weeks. So it might be a bit of a push to have people really rally around you and connect with you organically. Don't take it too personally. The sun is doing its very best, and relationships and others in your life that have partnered up with you are prepared to go the distance, but may be feeling a little lethargic or less enthusiastic than you. It's nothing you can't handle for 4 weeks when people that you partner up with are just a little bit less low in energy than you are. Because on the same day, the 22nd, your chart ruler Mars ingresses into Scorpio, where your chart ruler Mars is in domicile in a very strong position until November 3rd. Now, Mars is your chart ruler, so this is a significant transit for you, but it's in the natal eighth house. And the natal eighth house is about death, inheritance, and shared resources, other people's resources that support Aries rising. And because your chart ruler Mars is so well positioned, then it's going to be easy to engage and connect with the resources that have been hard to access. This can be emotional support. It's easy for you to end things that have been going on and on and on and on and on. So it's a great transit for culling, recalibrating, and really being aware of what resources are available to you to help you improve the self, mind, body, spirit, and soul, help you get going. So, this transit with Mars in Scorpio from the 22nd of September to November 3rd is not a transit to take for granted. If you're ready, Aries rising signs, to extend that hand for support, it's going to be there. So take it. So this is not about being gun shy. Oh, I shouldn't take on that. I don't want to overwhelm or, put too much on other people. People are prepared to help you out. This is what this transit's all about. With Mars in the natal eighth house of resources that support you, take what you can when it comes to helping you over a line, improve the body, mind, spirit, and soul. It's a great transit for that. We also can consider this natal eighth house of death in regards to ending and severing and cutting away emotional binds and connections that have they're outdated, they're done. So it's really good for out with the old, in with the new regarding anything that is emotionally draining or has a gravitas on you. In the natal eighth house of inheritance, then you may be the beneficiary of inheriting some significant item or possession. It's a fortuitous transit with your chart ruler Mars in Scorpio. So don't shy away from people lavishing you with support. If people want to support you and help you get over the line and be your best self, then take it. This is the transit to cash in on people that are more than prepared to help Aries rising over a line. Okay, moving on from the 23rd to the 25th, we have a lot of astrology and aspects. So let's talk about these 2 days. Your chart ruler Mars is squaring off with Pluto retrograde. So this day, astrologically, this is not about pleasing other people and running with the status quo kind of day. This is about standing in your own power. So not being swayed is going to be the astrology for the day, with Mars, your chart ruler, saying no to conforming. So this is about releasing yourself from pressure or feeling pressure to conform. So your Mars, Mars, your chart ruler, is well positioned in Scorpio, squaring off with the retrograde Pluto. So this is not about people pleasing and running with a race. This is holding your own kind of day on the from the 23rd to the 25th, when your chart ruler Mars squares off with Pluto. Pluto is also on these 2 days trining the sun. And so this is all about, we really are putting the pressure on Aries rising to conform and play our game. And it may feel like a lot of outside influence is really hammering on you. Don't bother. This 2 days is all about, you have to be individual and sovereign. So it can feel like a lot of outside pressure coming towards you. Ignore it. Your chart ruler Mars is well positioned in Scorpio. You know exactly what you're doing and what you need, and be damned if you're going to be influenced or swayed. We also have the Sun opposing Neptune's, retrograde in your first house. So this is all about, again, pressure coming from others to speak up, conform, do what they want you to do. Again, this is hammering down the information that there's some sort of pressure or conformity that others are asking of you. So easy does it from the 23rd to the 25th. And we also have the Sun trining Uranus. And this is all about sudden pressure to change, something very acute. It's sort of knocking on Aries rising's door from the 23rd to the 25th. So this is a day to stand firm, stand straight, not bend the knee kind of 2 days on the 23rd to the 25th, because it can feel like a lot of outside pressure coming towards you. Play our way, play our game. This is what you had to do. This is the best way to go. And your instincts are sharp with your chart ruler Mars in Scorpio. So this is all about no thank yous. That's your astrology for the month of September. It's a big astrological month. I hope you have a great one, Aries rising signs. Thanks for tuning in. If you have any questions for me or would like a one on one consultation with me, you can contact me at cosmicgirl101@protonmail.com. Till next time, Aries rising signs, enjoy your chart ruler Mars being in Scorpio and stay cosmic.